How can I help you
Thank you.
today?
Thank you for taking my call. Um, I've been a counselor therapist my whole career. I most recently um, was certified in energy healing, and I feel that that's the direction I'm meant to go in. I'm starting my own company, my own endeavor around it, and I find that it's moving very slowly, the progression of it. And I'm wondering why that might be.
Okay. Can you tell me your full name, please? 3 times.
Neola Brickuyette, Neola Brickuyette, Neola Brickuyette.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so and I'm laughing because I could spend all day on this. I'm trying to condense this to a very short because this is kind of a real deep passion about for me. So just and to just tell you, I started out as an energy healer. So this is right in my wheelhouse. But what your energy is saying, it is source is so lovely how it just divinely things. So we were just talking about the masculine. This is actually part of what this is going to be for you. And again, I'm going to not try to take 20 minutes to talk about this. So I'm going to give you the basic points, and then I'm going to go into detail around them. Okay. So in order for you, there's a few things. One, you're going to learn how you need to really focus on study and invest in marketing yourself. That's number one. Two, in order to do this, especially in order to be successful as an energy healer, and I'm going to go into why, you're going to have to strengthen your masculine, or more specifically, you're going to have to strengthen your ego. And I'm going to talk about that, why that is in a second. And then also for you, there is a little fear around this, particularly around, which is very common with people that those of us souls that are called to this type of work. There is a fear that I am doing. Let me try to see if I can channel it directly. Yeah. Hmm. So I'm channeling this voice in the energy directly. This is what I'm hearing. Okay. How dare I make good money doing spirit work?
Yeah, I feel like that a lot.
Okay. So I'm just going to stick with these three things. Okay. So this is and I want you to know you're not alone. I have never met, I used to, so before I was working specifically with helping people heal themselves, heal their bodies specifically. I was a business mentor for spiritual entrepreneurs. So I know this very well. I help spiritual entrepreneurs start their businesses and thrive their businesses. And one of the things that happens with spiritual entrepreneurs is because especially if you grew up in the West, there's a lot of messaging, cultural and societal messaging around anything that has to do with spirituality really should be free. And so that gets filtered in, even if nobody said that directly to you. It's in the culture, it's in the energy. So growing up, it gets filtered into your subconscious and into your vibration. So it's subconscious, it's deep in there. You're not even really aware of it until you take a step towards it, and then it becomes conscious, right? So you have to deal with this feeling of, and what it really is I'm not worthy of charging this, right? So I'm just going to tell you a few things to help you. One, really the people who do this work, if anything, they really are the ones that really need to financially thrive. And let me tell you why. Because when you're doing healing work and you're doing energy healing work, if you are struggling or if you are suffering, that energy gets filtered into what you're doing with your clients. When you are thriving and when you feel financially secure and you feel safe, that uplifts your energy, and that energy affects your clients, even without you doing anything. Just the energy of you being more centered in your soul's energy. When your clients come to you, they benefit from that. So someone who is financially successful and stable and thriving, who does healing work, actually becomes more effective in their energy in the work that they're doing. So it's actually not even a desire. It's really a responsibility of you to thrive. It's part of your responsibility as a healer to be successful, because that amplifies your work in the world. Also, you're doing good. You're doing good work in the world. You're helping people heal themselves. You're helping people heal themselves in ways that they didn't even know was possible. And so the more you're able to um, sustain yourself, and the more you are able to release the energy of stress around finances in the body, the more you're able to help. This is, and because you're coming from a helping energy. So why I said that you have to strengthen the masculine or the ego is people that are usually in the healing arts, uh, or the healing arts, um, spiritual teachers, coaches, things like that. They are usually more feminine energy embodied, or higher self energy embodied, right? That is actually where that usually comes from. That's where the desire that comes from. It comes from that energy space. So because you're usually up here, and they're usually empaths or or highly sensitive people. Now, empaths and highly sensitive people are very high up on the scale of the feminine or the higher self energy, right? But very low in the masculine and the ego energy. And this is why you want to strengthen this, right? You don't want to suppress. Balance is never about suppressing. It's just bringing this up, bringing whatever's lower up. The ego part of you is the part of you that is about being seen, is about showing up. It's about prioritizing the self. This is what you are going to need to be a successful business owner. You're going to need to show up. You're going to need to, because in order to, what I mean by show up is not just show up and offer your gifts, but you have to show up and let people know that you're here, and that if you don't show up and let people know you're here, don't show up and let people know, hey, this is what I have to offer. This is how we can help you. This is what you can, what you can expect from working with me. They'll never know that you can benefit them, and they're not going to come. Right. And that is part of the masculine, right? And you're going to have to strengthen that so that you show up. Usually that's very weak. And those of us that have that, we'd rather not. We'd rather be behind the scenes. We'd rather kind of stay. But that makes us not be seen. And the people that are the ones that, and this world needs more people who are higher self energy, because we have a lot of people who are ego energy based, that are ego energy dominant, so much so, and they're imbalanced in the higher self, that they go into egotism. And those are the people running the show. This is where our politicians come from. This is where the tyrants come from. That's why, because they show up and be seen and make themselves heard, but they don't have the balance, right? Your balance, you have this. Now your balance is to show up and be seen, to get out there, to speak up about what you have and how you can help and how you can serve. And I would highly recommend, again, that you get help doing that, particularly with someone who can teach you how to market yourself, right? A business mentor, look into business mentors out there. I know off the top of my head, I'll give you two that I really enjoy that work specifically with people who are heart-centered, spiritual-based entrepreneurs. The first is Tad Hardgrave, Tadhargrave. The second is Paul Zelizer, Zelizer. I will look into those two people, their work, and looking to see how do you market yourself in a way that is authentic to you as well. We don't want to take you over the scale to where you're again suppressing your truth in your marketing strategy. There's a way to market your strategy, to market yourself that is in alignment with you, that doesn't make you feel icky, that serves your people, right? And prime example, you're here because of something I've done. Mm-hmm. Some way that I've put myself out there, some way that I've let you know that I can be of service, that I can help. So there's ways for you, and you'll see your business grow. But one, to deal with that thought that I don't deserve to make money doing this type of work. You've got to shift that to, I absolutely deserve to make money. I deserve to make a lot of money, and me making a lot of money in this type of work actually helps me and it helps the world. Because I will be able to show up bigger, I will be able to serve more people, and I will do so from an energy that is very self-nourishing and nourishing to the world instead of depleting. I'm going to strengthen the ego is not, it's gotten a bad rap in spirituality, in a lot of spirituality and personal growth conversations. The ego is the part of you. So I said I wouldn't take 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to do this in a minute. So when we come in as a soul, this is a world of duality, meaning there's always another or two sides, right? So the soul comes in, and the consciousness of the soul has two sides. The consciousness of the soul is a oneness. That's the mission of oneness. But when we come into physical, it's kind of has the illusion of being separated into two things. One is the higher self, one is the ego. They're both part of the consciousness of the soul. This is something that we're not taught. They are both part of the consciousness of the soul. The ego part is the part of you that is focused on receiving love, particularly. So making sure you get love, you get your needs met. It's making sure that it's the prioritizing the self. It makes sure that you show up, that you're seen, and that you can receive what your truth is, and that you can express your truth. If your ego is suppressed, you're going to have a very hard time in those things. And if your ego is suppressed, or if it is weak in those areas, you're going to have a hard time making money. You're going to have a hard time with boundaries, because the ego is the part of you that knows what you need and where you end and another person begins. And you're going to have a hard time feeling empowered and all the things that come with empowered, like having money and being successful. So when it comes in, when the ego is really high in us and our higher self is imbalanced, that's when we become oppressive. That's when we become, narcissistic and egotistical. Not just being in the ego makes you that way, being in the ego and not having the balance with the other side of you. But if you're in the higher self, which empaths, highly sensitives, people who are probably almost all of you all here on this call, as a matter of fact, are probably somewhere in this realm. Higher sensitive, empaths, spiritual seekers, things like that, usually are very high on the higher self side of the consciousness and lower on the ego side of the consciousness. So you're compassionate, you work with intuition, you're interested in spirituality and energy and things like that. You are very interested in connection and community and things like that, but you have an issue with those other things. So your balance in this lifetime is to strengthen your ego, to strengthen this ego. You still nourish this part of you. You don't starve it. You still nourish the part of you that needs all that, but you also need to strengthen this. And most spiritual seekers ignore this altogether and they're over here. So they just get more and more imbalanced. And this is why we see a lot of energy healers and spiritual teachers and things like that struggle financially. It's not because they're supposed to. It's not because there's something in the energy that makes them that way. It's because we're not taught. We've been taught to suppress the ego even further. And we're not taught to amplify those aspects in our consciousness and in our behavior patterns, that part of us that we need to be successful.
Do you happen to have a class that works specifically on that, building the ego, or would you consider doing a class on that?
I am actually going to the new year. I'm going to be doing a whole course on strengthening the ego part of us, specifically for those of us who are more higher self or feminine energy embodied. I'm definitely going to be doing that. I'm not going to leave you all out in the cold on that because there's not a lot of people talking about that, actually. And they're not a lot about it from the soul, from the truth about the soul's aspect of it, because what's been happening is we've really been demonizing the ego. And what's actually what the aspects of the ego is when it's imbalanced. That's when we're oppressive, we're violent, we get our needs met to the expense of other people, right? The ego alone doesn't do that, but when the ego is imbalanced, that's when it does that. And it's really the imbalance that's the issue. But also the higher self can be imbalanced. You know, when we're imbalanced in the higher self, we get walked over. We play small. People dishonor our boundaries a lot. We don't make money enough to be able to support ourselves. We have lives that feel very disempowering. And we get violated, right? There's a reason why narcissists attract empaths. There's a reason why that happens. I'll be doing a class on that too. But all of that, without me going, I told you that you're in my wheelhouse, so I'm getting really excited. So I'm not going to go an hour into this anymore, but those are the things for you. Get help marketing yourself. That would be number one. The marketing aspect is also going to strengthen your ego, and it's going to be challenging because it's going to press up against some things that, not in a way, again, marketing does not, it's going to press up against some of the belief systems that you have that say marketing has to be icky or it has to be that. But these people that I gave you, they will help you kind of do it in a way that's very aligned with you, that very nourishes the parts of you that that are your truth, and that also get you out in the world in a way that can make you successful and thrive like you're supposed to. You're here to do good work, and you've been doing good work. Now you're doing it in a different way, and you're supposed to thrive in that too.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Much love for that question. Thank you so much.